when do you see ego get in the way? Like, when is it most prevalent, do you think?
It's so prevalent.
Everywhere.
And this is when I saw this question, I immediately thought of this guy whose ego just completely got in the way, and he was able to fix it on this particular situation. And it was me. So this is actually a funny story. This guy, so we started working with a company, and the company had a pretty young CEO, and he was a super smart guy, and he had played football in college, so D1 football player, just a pretty badass guy, super smart, super articulate. And when I met him, I like, there was a little tension between him and me. There was a little something, there was a little tension. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, this guy really thinks he's a badass. And so we go through a meeting and we go through another meeting, and there's just this tension. I'm going, yeah, this guy is definitely, he's got issues. He's got problems. I'm looking at this guy. And I can feel it come from him that he's thinking the same thing.
Are you sure he was thinking the same thing, though?
I'm positive.
Or was that just you looking in the mirror again?
I'm positive he was thinking the same thing, and I'll tell you how I know that. So as I'm sitting there, so we actually did like a whole 2 days with this company, and then we were coming back. And the next time we came back, I go, I don't know what's going to be like this. I'm going to have this again with this guy, this asshole. I come back, and sure enough, there it is. I see him, and he's like I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and there's tension. And all of a sudden, I detached from the situation, and I looked at myself, and I said, Jocko, you're an idiot. Because here I was, and what was I thinking? I was jealous of the guy, or intimidated or jealous, or whatever the words, threatened. Yeah. I was jealous. I think it was jealous because he was a young guy that had been very successful, made a ton of money, went to a big school and played ball and all that stuff, and he had done all this stuff. And what was he thinking? Looking at me, he was looking at me thinking, oh, this guy, he was a SEAL, and he was, a jiu-jitsu guy, and he's a badass. And both of us were basically envious of the other one in some way. And really what it was, I guess envious is the wrong word. Our egos, both of our egos had impacted. And so as soon as I realized that, I was like, bam, I immediately changed my attitude. And I was like, and the next opportunity I had, during a break or something, I was like, you know what? After working with you a couple days, you're awesome. I said, what you've done is badass to be your age and be dominating a company like this and have raised it together and built it. That's awesome. And made a ton of money. I love that. And that's just badass, man. I have nothing but respect for you and what you've done. And I actually want to learn from you while I'm here. Mm-hmm. And immediately it was like a force field came down. Yeah. And he said to me, you know what? No matter what I've done in my life, it's never going to be what you've done. And after that, we were bros. Mm-hmm. But I had to recognize the ego in the situation, mine and his. And I just had to disarm it, and then it was all gone. Mm-hmm. So that's a story about ego. My big, ugly ego. And again, ego drives people. It's what makes people want to be successful. And it has a lot of positives to it. Mm-hmm. But it can definitely get in the way.
Yeah.